Does this look like an anime card character to you? What up, fishes? It's your boy Chillfish. Happy Monday. Welcome to Rising Duelist, and today I'll be talking about my thoughts on the new Gravekeeper's support cards coming out in Soul Fusion. Now, we do have a little bit of ways before these cards come out, but I still want to talk about them because I love Gravekeepers. They're a great deck. I still have them. My wife actually plays them a little bit when we play Yu-Gi-Oh! Together. It's a great deck. I love ancient Egyptian archetypes and all that kind of good stuff. Plus, this is kind of the new legacy support that I've been waiting for. I've been so tired of the protagonist legacy support. I've been kind of waiting for other cards, other archetypes to get that. And this year pretty much is already kind of the year of legacy support. We got new, Spatians and new heroes coming out with the new Megatons, and now we're talking about Gravekeepers. So there are 5 new cards, 3 monsters, and a spell and trap coming out in the new Soul Fusion. And the purpose of this video is just me reading their effects to you guys and talking about how they could be good in the deck, outside the deck, and whatever. So basically, sit back, relax, and enjoy my thoughts on the new Gravekeeper support cards. First thing I'm talking about is the new spell card, Throne of Necrovalley. What's really great and I like about this card already is the fact that it's got the name Necrovalley in its title, which is beneficial to other cards, and I'll explain that in just a minute. There are 2 effects. One is that add 1 Gravekeeper's monster from your deck to your graveyard. And then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 Gravekeeper's monster from your hand. You can only activate 1 Throne of Necrovalley per turn. This is an amazing card on 2 different levels. One, it's a Rhoda for the deck, and I've been saying for years that every deck or every archetype should have some sort of in-game Rhoda, and Throne of Necrovalley here completely helps that. If you don't want to use it for that, you can use it to extra normal summon, which is huge because I already think this deck needs like double summon. Shocker, y'all already call that. You already know I love double summon. So I feel like this adds that extra summon for the card. This is just awesome. Get your combo pieces out. The only real way to add Gravekeeper monsters from your deck to your hand for the longest time was with Recruiter, or even if you were just, use Spy to bring something out from the deck. But this adds a whole new level. It basically can kind of get those plays moving and definitely speeds up the deck. This is a deck that really is slow. Very slow, very old, and I just really think this is going to be huge beneficial for the deck. This is definitely a 3 of, regardless of what you're playing, what effects you're using for it. And next, I'm going to be talking about Sacred Temples of Necrovalley. Now, first, when I first saw this, I was really nervous because it's a trap, but it does work, and I do appreciate the effects. I'm going to read them off for you guys real quick. It's a continuous trap card, so that's nice. While Gravekeeper's monster and or Necrovalley is on the field, all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. Now, I'm going to talk about that first effect real quick and mention how pretty good it actually is. First of all, it just says if there is a Gravekeeper on the field or Necrovalley on the field. That's huge because, I don't know if you guys remember way back when Primal Origins dropped, 4 years ago, I think. They basically, the old support for that needed both Necrovalley and a Gravekeeper monster on the field. Same thing with Imperial Tombs, which is why it's kind of, it's just weak. It's so dependent. But this one needs one or the other, which is huge. Now think of this also. Your opponent loses 500 attack and defense. That may not seem like a big buff, but Gravekeeper's monsters are really kind of weak. And with if Necrovalleys are on the field, they already gain a 500 attack buff. And now with this, losing your opponent's 500 attack, this does add a little bit more power play to kind of go pushing for more power play games. The next effect is once per turn during either player's main phase, if you control no card in your field zone, you can activate 1 Necrovalley from hand or graveyard. Now this just says once per turn during either player's main phase. So that's huge because it's either player's main phase. Activate your effect. If your opponent pops, use an MST or Cosmic Cyclone on you, for example, on their turn, their main phase, you can activate another one. So it's kind of furthering re-gets you your Necrovalleys, and it says that it comes from a hand or graveyard. So you basically can recycle your Necrovalleys, which is really huge because, as we all know, a deck that relies on 1 field spell has that problem if they all go to the grave or if they're all gone. And since Necrovalley doesn't have any inherent protection, this really helps the deck out. And the last effect is if this card is in your possession, is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can set 1 Necrovalley spell trap card directly from your deck except Sacred Temples of Necrovalley. That's also nice because if this is destroyed, it doesn't matter when. It can be activated, it can be not activated. It didn't specify it had to be set or anything. And nowadays with back row being kind of more safe because of Waking the Dragon, everyone's a little bit afraid to run that. So this does help out with that to an effect as well. And you can set 1 Necrovalley spell trap directly from your deck. That's huge. So you can bring out your Throne of Necrovalley. You can set your Imperial Tombs. I think you'd be able to even use Necrovalley actually if you want to. It's set in your field spell zone. So it wouldn't be the best if you already have a field spell. But that's huge. It's not going to be a great card, I think. It's not going to be like 3 of or anything like that. I do think this could be a 1, maybe 2 of. I'm definitely going to be playing around with 3 when I get the cards, just to kind of see how it's flowing and everything. Next, we're going to go into the main deck monsters. I'll first be starting off with Gravekeeper's Cleric. Level 3 Dark Spellcaster effect monster, which is good. It's not level 3 like Recruiter, but I think it's way better. You can only use your first effect once per turn. If this card is summoned, you can target one level 4 Gravekeeper's monster from the graveyard, special summon it face up attack position or face down defense position, and of course this effect is not negated by Necrovalley, which is nice because with Necrovalley on the field, two cards that I do think really help benefit a lot of players in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, especially for extra linking, is Soul Charge and Monster Reborn to an extent. With Necrovalley, it shuts down both those cards. But this one basically ignores that and brings out a monster, which is huge. This reminds me of kind of Cold Soldier Wolfbark, or even my personal Teller Knights. Reminds me of Altier. Normal summon or summon it in general. If you were to use it with Rite of Spirit, for example, you can activate this, bring Cleric out from the grave, use its effect to bring out something else, which is nice. You can bring out another Descendant, you can bring out Spy, which is really good, put that in defense position. Now it does have to say level 4 Gravekeepers, but still level 4s, that's pretty good. It just helps out get your field presence on the board, especially for its other monsters and other effects. So this card's pretty good. I would definitely recommend running 2 definitely of these cards, maybe 3, just because it does furthering your plays to kind of create your nice boards, and I definitely would play this one. Now the last in-deck monster we're talking about is Gravekeeper Spiritualist. You can use the first effect once per turn. If Necrovalley is on the field, which you want Necrovalley on the field always, so it's not too bad, you can fusion summon one spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using materials from your hand or field as fusion materials, including this card in the field. Now, we're going to talk about the fusion card in just a minute. When I first saw the fusion card, I was worried, okay, I think it was some sort of fusion spell. So they gave us kind of a monster in there. It's not terrible. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. If it didn't need to be on the field to fusion summon, I think it'd be way better. But of course, we all know that Konami was not going to drop something that could be fused from the hand. So, I don't know. This definitely is a one-of. If you want to run the fusion card, run this. If not, then I don't really see a purpose. It just really depends on your build. If you want to play it with the new fusion, I'll talk about in just a second. Maybe 1, maybe 2 if you're feeling spicy. And now talking about the fusion boss monster of the deck, Gravekeeper's Esper. It's level 7 Dark Spellcaster. Attack is 2k, defense is 2k. Nothing super special, but it does kind of come to play with this. Materials, just 2 Gravekeeper's monsters. Right there, that is already enough for me to like the card already initially. You don't need to have any specific cards that kind of clunk the deck. It's just 2 Gravekeeper's monsters. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, this card gains 100 in attack and defense of the total original levels of its fusion materials times 100. So in theory, if you were playing 2 level 5 Gravekeepers, you could play with this and then you would gain like an extra 1,000 attack. But if not, you are at least getting 700 to 800 attack boost, and that's not even including Necrovalley. So this card already goes from a 2k to at least a 27k, and then if it gets that extra 500 attack, it becomes 32, which can beat over a lot of things. So that's still pretty good. If you want to play more of the dangerous play, if you want to really focus on this fusion mechanic, you may want to play the higher levels just to gain that extra attack boost, but I don't think it'd be worth it in the long run. If Necrovalley is on the field, this card and cards in your field zones cannot be destroyed by card effects. Notice how it says destroyed by card effects, which is nice. It covers you from protection, I can't say this right, Twin Twisters, MST. But now if a Cosmic Cyclone shows up, I believe that this is, you can use Cosmic Cyclone because it banishes the card, but still though, the fact that you are blanket covering the field spell is really huge, especially because up until this point, people, if you want to play good Gravekeepers, you were playing with Malefic Stardust Dragon, which protected the field spell, but that really shuts down the rest of the deck because it can only attack. So this is kind of a nice way to complement and cover this and protect it. And the last thing, during your main phase, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 Gravekeeper's monster or 1 Necrovalley card from your deck to your hand. That's huge. Now, I do think it's interesting that you have to activate it in the main phase in order for it to get this effect off in the end phase. I already can see that if Konami did that with a lot of other cards, more broken cards in my opinion, that would slow down the game. But right there, you can add, it's another rotor for the deck. You can even use this to search out your throne and use that, or add Necrovalley or anything else like that. I think it's better for the monster play, but this is a pretty nice boss monster. The plus side of Gravekeepers is they don't really need a lot of extra decks, so this is really nice and beneficial for them. Alright guys, so those are kind of just my thoughts on the new Gravekeepers cards. So far, for the most part, they're pretty good. I will say they are a lot more promising than the cards when we got released in Primal Origins way back in the day. These ones are a lot better. Throne is absolutely the best card you're going to get in this thing. I would say Cleric is the second best. You could then argue whether it would be Sacred Tombs or it would be like Esper or Spiritualist. That's kind of all debatable, but this does add a nice synergy to the deck. This does add those kind of things. One thing I did forget to mention about with Spiritualist is that when you fusion with her, you can already utilize Gravekeeper Steel to get those 2 materials back into your hand, which is nice. So you can even recycle. If you wanted to use more spiritualist plays, you can recycle and keep going on from there. So that's pretty much it. I really like the way that the Konami is focusing with this new legacy support. If they want to start taking old decks and making it more legacy support and actually making it somewhat relevant in the format, this is huge. Just listen to any YouTuber out there, Konami, they'll tell you what other decks you should be focusing on as well. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. It's your boy Chillfish signing off from Rising Duelist. Hope you have a great Monday, and we'll see you guys next time.